All right, let's slope it up here. Let's talk. So slope is basically it applies pretty much in our cases only to linear equations. So linear, right, is a line, right? Linear equation is a line, and slope tells you how much something is or isn't either increasing or decreasing as it moves from left to right. So I think that's the first thing I want to make clear here is that we're always talking about going from left to right when we talk about slope, right? Now, if we think about that, then that helps us with the next thing here. So if we've got a graph, right? Let's say we got a graph and we have a line that's going like this, right? And this is our line. All right. If it is increasing, if it is going up from left to right, then that will give you always a positive slope. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is a good way to check your answers, is you can graphically see them. Now, if it happens to be decreasing as it goes from left to right, let's just use another color here, right? Let's say we got a line that's going like this, that's decreasing as it goes from left to right. That is going to be negative slope. All right, that will have a negative answer to it, right? So positive means it's increasing as it goes from left to right. Negative means it's decreasing as it goes from left to right, and that's kind of important because it will help us check our answers when we're doing this strictly formulaically and not looking at a picture. You can always like kind of approximate a picture and see what's going on. So they give us this formula here, this change in y coordinates over change in x coordinates. It's the same as what we just did with the rate of change, right? It's always your change in y over your change in x, right? And this is you can write this where it says slope formula, right? Actually, I think I will write it right there. So it's change in y over change in x. Another way to think of it is the rise over the run, like, and then how much is this thing going up and down versus how far is it going from left to right. All right, and I like to think of it left or right because that kind of reinforces that whole like positive negative slope thing, right? And just think of the direction you read in, okay? And if you keep all that straight, it should make some sense for you. And so now let's try a few of these problems. Okay, it says find the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points. So they gave us that formula up top here, right? I'm going to write it down again. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It just means how much is it changing going from one point's y coordinate to the others versus what's happening with the x coordinates. And the big thing to remember is if whatever y coordinate you start with, you have to start with that corresponding x coordinate, right? So if we call this x1, y1, and then x2, y2, right? We are going to say, okay, well, y2 would be 5 minus, and then y1 would be 3. So the difference of those two over my x's, so we're going to go 2 minus, and then negative 4. And you'll see how I'm being pretty deliberate about using my parentheses here, and that is because that will allow us to catch some of these double negatives, right? So this is going down 2, right? And then this double negative right here turns into a plus, right? So that becomes 2 plus 4, which is 6. And then when we simplify it, we get 1/3. Now, if you want to use kind of the principle of what we just talked about, right? Let's kind of sketch where negative 4, 3 would be. So if we went, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, that would put this guy about right here. And then 2, 5 is going to be like 2 and then up a little more about here. So you're going to have a line that's going up from left to right. So this answer makes sense, right? It is going up. And what it means is it's going up 1 for every 3 it goes over, right? It goes over 3, it goes up 1. Goes over another 3, it goes up 1. So this is not a particularly steep slope. As numbers get larger, that means the slope gets larger, and then that means it gets steeper, right? All right, this one here, if you want to pause the video and try it, you can. Otherwise, I'm just going to work through it. So the first thing I'm going to do is do my x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, and then we'll do our subtraction. So we're going to go 5, which is my y2, minus y1. So minus y1, which is negative 3, goes over 3 minus 1, right? So we got double negative here. So that means this thing is changing 8 units total, 5 plus 3, right? And then from 3 going to 1, that's a change of 2. So in this, you have a total change of 4 units as it goes over 1 unit, right? And a lot of these slope answers are going to give you a whole, an integer answer where it's not a fraction. The fractions are nice because we can interpret that kind of better. This means it goes up 1 for every 3, it goes over to the right. This just means it goes up 4 for every 1, it goes over to the right. So this is very steep. It's a very steep slope. So hope this is helping. And we will see you in the next video when we look at graphic representations of slope.